Free fly down from the wild heights.
Resonance in the castle. I thought this was pretty interesting. I definitely felt like you kind of got sucked into a kind of like almost like a Renaissance painting. For different parts of this, for sure, definitely in the opening section and kind of the kitchen. I also loved that like the different rooms had such vastly different music associated with them, such vastly different performances and vibe and energy to them. They were very, very different when you, especially as you watch them kind of one to the other. And I thought that the things that they kind of gave and prioritized or did in each of the different rooms was really interesting and really kind of fascinating, especially with like starting in what appeared to be like the kind of kitchen was like quite high energy, quite warm, like as far as like colors go, and of course you had the fire there and things like that. And then as you get into some of these other rooms, it becomes a very, very, very different kind of setup, where it's not nearly as warm color wise, it's not nearly as kind of inviting and fun and peppy. You have a very, very different kind of perspective or energy, and I thought that was really interesting because I feel like, especially in like a huge place like that, like a castle, where because there's so many different spaces and so many different rooms, and in the times that castles were where kind of like royal or well-to-do families stayed, each room had such a specific purpose of why it would be used and who would be allowed into it. You would get these very, very different feelings of what would be appropriate in those rooms, which I thought was really interesting. I really liked it. I thought it was very, very, very stylized. I loved that at the end you get all the way outside of the castle and up on the roof. I thought that was really interesting, or on some sort of balcony or terrace of some kind. Which like I said, I thought that was yet again another way to show the differences of what like how many different types of things that you could experience in a location like that. I thought it was great. Really, really well done.
This film, Resonance in the Castle, is both an experimental piece and a dance piece. It starts off with showing different landscapes in a very morphed kind of way with the camera, and the images of the castle are kind of morphed too, and then they go into these different short dance pieces like consecutively, and I think they're meant to represent different motifs surrounding the castle and vibes, castle life and vibes, and also they take place in different sections of the castle. I think it's fun how different each dance piece is, and it's not just in the choreography, but also in the lighting and the music and the feel and the color choices, outfit choices, acting choices incorporated into the dance. It's really cool how they were able to also use the camera movement to draw our attention and bring us through the different pieces of the world. I really love the production elements of this piece, and I think it really contributed to how experimental the dance pieces were.
I don't think there's many cinematographers in the world that can make a ground look cinematically beautiful, but this filmmaker obviously has that innate ability to do so. We have this lovely opening sequence, and it really does bring home that resonance. You get to see it, you get to almost feel it in the ripple. Really loved the way that they introduced us into this film. I felt like I was captivated right at the get-go. And even leading into the different musical numbers within this piece, I loved the way that they decided to light the harp player. I felt like I was, in a sense, also mesmerized in the way that not only the music was playing, but the light that was peeking through as the resonance was hitting us with the musical number that was being presented. And we get this really nice duality, folklore, is the princess stuck in a castle type of vibe? What does the witch really have after her? Is she seeking youth? Did she achieve that youth? You get these sort of questions, and that art department did a stellar job on creating and building this really vintage book. The art department and costume, hair and makeup really came together to really build the world and experience that we're presented with. We definitely fall into it, and when we get this nice transition of this character from essentially old to young, perhaps, or shedding and breaking free, because at one point they are playing with masks, they're peeling things off, they're peeling these layers, and as they peel off the layers, they just become bright and colorful and glowing, and they leave the castle. And so it's just it definitely has this nice cinematography, build up, look, feel. You can get lost and immersed in this piece for sure.